I've been in a serious relationship to my breath. Especially after the last few months. All mouths, all voices, our thoughts can be of such power and can bring us to incredible places and experiences, but it can also bring you to tragical experiences and places. I used to believe in karma. A few weeks ago, I had this idea imprinted in my belief system that you did this to someone, most likely you're going to have to pay for it. And life is going to bring this experience back to you so you can feel what's like to be on the other side. And yes, that did happen. But I also think it wasn't just life saying, I'm punishing you because you did this and that. I think my actions triggered consequences. And what I mean by my actions is how I decided to use my voice and how I decided to project whatever I was experiencing inside. Because even though I'm a very strong advocate of speaking your truth, I also like to point out and say that truth might hurt, and be careful to not be careful to make yourself feel better at the expense of someone else's pain or at the expense of hurting someone. And for that, I mean to say, like, you are in charge of what you allow to come out of your mouth. You gotta build that doorman. It's almost as if your psychic has these different aspects and you're building your home. And it feels like you're fragmented sometimes because it feels like one voice is projecting when another one is dormant until you wake up that one and then you bring that one back. And it kind of like feels like there's no end for this dance, right? And that's why I called this talk Creativity Has No Ends. Because your imagination allows you to see things in infinite ways. And even when you fast or you go to church or you try to find the deepest truth within, it sounds like or feels like you're not quite near the truth. Like maybe for a few minutes you're gonna tap into that truth and you're like, oh, is this what it is? Because like I'm inside my head, but now I stepped out of my head and I'm now tapping into this dimension here, which seems to show me things like this and like that and like that. And I'm like, okay, so now do I stick with this place right here where I'm getting this much information, or do I let go of everything and just keep going with the flow and just like ignore completely my desire of finding the truth? Because maybe the truth is really relative, and maybe because creativity has no limits, that there are always infinite amount of ways to see and perceive things. So, with that, I have to remind you that according to the law of one, we are one. And when you start to dance with somebody else, creativity starts to spin all over and bring even more possibilities about whoever you are dancing with, about whatever the situation you're discussing with, whatever it is that you both are in subject to. So it's almost as if there is like this energy shift that keeps happening, and you can perceive that as you continue to awaken this journey, that you are in the, and then they start playing the music that you like, and you're like, ooh, they're vibing my vibe, that's awesome. Ooh, I'm the brightest star here, until someone else comes in and the whole energy is like taking to a different mode, into a different form, and now they're playing Ellie Clapton, or they're playing the Beatles, and you're like, oh, what happens? I'm not the brightest star anymore. Or it feels like you have to wait for your turn for the light to like turn on and the stars aligned around you. But then how long can you stay there depends on how you interact with that field of infinity possibilities, aka heaven, aka universe, aka you name it. And my voice can shape in this different places because my awareness is traveling through all these places. And if I tell this to some people who have never heard of quantum physics, spirituality, Jesus, Buddha, they would think I'm crazy. But because there's all these masters who have, you know, passed through this planet and left incredible messages and teachings, I can find that information out there, and then I feel at peace because I'm like, oh gosh, okay. I've had these thoughts before. Now I see these thoughts being projected through someone else, or maybe in this cloud, aka the collective unconscious, like in this like cloud where all thoughts are archived and all memories, everything's there. It's like so available to those who can tap into it, that you feel like you're stuck there because there's so much and you don't want to come back to earth to really ground yourself and just accept that things are just what it is here. Or maybe that could be a dance. That's right. That's right. Maybe I can stay creating all day long, and then the next day I can just be here on earth bringing all the creation and manifesting that into place, which is very pleasant, my friend. You know, you're creating up there, you start seeing yourself in different stories, like, gosh, I've tried this and that and it didn't really work, so now maybe what if I shape myself or this version of me more towards this place right here? What is it gonna happen? Is it now maybe gonna bring um more like a deeper sense of fulfillment, or a sense of like I'm doing things different and better than I used to do before, or what? You will only know if you try. If you're still thinking about it and you still see yourself maybe stuck on the same idea that you've had years ago that you haven't tried yet, I'm here to tell you the time goes by very fast, and you got nothing to lose other than is you got nothing to lose. But if you stay where you are, then yes, that's you're losing, you're wasting time, because your space here on earth is very sacred. There are billions of souls who are waiting for the opportunity to incarnate in this earth. And you know how the universe works. It's so self-organized that even your existence itself in this planet is a miracle. It's a miracle because you don't remember, you don't know how long you had to wait for the opportunity to come back down here and experience life. But we take this for granted because we're all entangled on different stories, different ways of thinking, and the drama of the world. We're all like carrying this together, which is a beautiful thing too, don't you think? They're like, yeah, because we're one, we had agreed before coming down here that we're going to be carrying the weight of the world together. And even those people who are extremely successful and they're happy and they have the, I mean, they seem happy because they mask their character seems to be really well put together, groomed, and they've got money in the bank account. They don't have that many health problems, and they have a brain that can create incredible things and generate, more business opportunities and more money to other people. But even those people don't seem to be fulfilled and happy. And the reason why, it's because they're also carrying the pain of the world, because we're all in this freaking thing together. So instead of complaining and being ignorant about what's happening above the clouds, or in your heart, in your mind, that you just think, it's just shattering, it's just that whatever chemicals, or you might have your own way of seeing that, and you've settled down with that, and that's okay. But instead of that, why don't you give yourself the chance to really like, let me do the work, let me do what I can to raise the frequency of the planet. Let me look at my own inner state here right now. How does that feel? Oh, well, yeah, it feels heavy, it feels dense. There's something right here that I can't even call. Like, why don't I seek for help then? Why don't I take on the first step to begin this healing journey? Like, who do I have to forgive? Who do I keep seeing in my head when I'm sleeping at night showing up as the ghost, and I haven't even reached out to this person for many years? Well, thank God I feel like I've done a quite good job of forgiving a lot of people who have passed in my lifetime. But I do have to say that a lot of them I also didn't want to see them again, and they don't even cross my mind anymore. But from time to time, I see life making its way and bringing things back around, and like, hey, girl, looks like you didn't do a quite good job here. There's this thing here pending. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, okay, God, let's have a conversation. What did I do to this person that you think is not in alignment with divine truth or divine love? And the answers begin to come out, and you can keep going on what they call the rabbit hole, because it's true. We need to learn how to ask the right questions, and instead of caught up in our thinking mind that is just like, it's just in a loop of interminant thoughts of just like, you're just going around thinking about the same thing. Oh, maybe if I do this, I'll do that. But when I do that, it's also gonna be like this and this. But then this person did this to me, and I want this person back to me, and I like the way they kiss. And but at the same time, I think he has a not really well. The body of this person looks like oh, and you can go on because your judgmental mind is so powerful, and it can keep bringing labels and adding labels and adding and like if you realize or trace back the fights, arguments you've had in the past with your friends, you will realize that most of those fights and arguments were coming from that fearful place, where they were coming from the reptilian brain, or they were coming from this super judgmental place. Because love itself doesn't fight for, it doesn't argue. So the fight and the argument's always going to come from a reactive place. It's coming from a place that is being programmed, a place that is being recorded, like past experiences, traumas in the past lifetimes. And the moment it gets triggered, it feels like awareness loses control of itself, and then it's just the paying body, which that's how Eckhart Tolle describes, that takes over and does this whole thing of like fighting and judging and blaming and regretting and all those negative stuff that you know exactly that happens into a fight. So oh my gosh, then that means everything that happened before, like all those people who you thought you hurt or hurt you, were never bad people. They were just out of their minds. They just had their awareness just had lost control of themselves, and they were triggered. You triggered each other because you were supposed to help each other, to like show some stuff, or to give each other the opportunity to heal through those arguments, but you didn't know how to do a good job even with this triggering. So I know that the title here is creativity. um when does creativity end? So creativity never ends, because there are always many ways to interpret things and to deal with things. But you are the player in this game, right? So like, just see yourself as this Super Mario, and then you have the remote, and then you're playing and you're pressing the buttons, and or you're playing chess, and you're moving one here, moving another one there, and you realize, oh, I see this here is not really working. Maybe I'll move a little towards to this side here. So with creativity, because there's so many opportunities and you can see from so many different angles, you might get caught up on that game, and you don't know really like that. Like sometimes you might feel like you don't know what to do because there are like different ways. So what do you do them now is like practice it, making decisions quicker, even if you fuck up. Because a lot of people don't make decisions quicker because they're traumatized of themselves, they're traumatized of the blame they felt in the past within. It's kind of like, if I screw up tonight and I go to bed, and then let's say I would start, not anymore, thank God, but I've been through this before. Like, I would go to a place where I would just be like feeling miserable inside for fucking up whatever I was supposed to do right. Or like this morning, I wasted like a few hours going to a place, and I walked for so long, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, we started the experience so nicely, and guess what? Somebody like stopped us on our journey, and he offered this, and I didn't know. I didn't want to be me. I ended up being me. I tried to run away. He held me. It was like a kind of like a spiritual battle going on there, because this person wanted something I had, and I didn't have. Actually, that person thought I did have something, right? Like a person wanted to sell me something on the streets. And I mean, let's say if that experience was like flowing in my mind, and I was like maybe catching myself going on that battle of like, oh, look, she didn't do this, she didn't do that. Like, I would feel miserable, and I would be traumatized of like even try to go again to that place, or doing something again the next day. But because I've done the work of eliminating as much as possible self-blame off my chest, that I can allow myself to make decisions quicker. And yeah, it's fine if you fuck up. Good for you. Fuck up again later. I mean, no, you don't want to fuck up again later, because I'm sure that experience will bring you some lessons. You're gonna learn something that you were meant to learn at the experience that maybe you wouldn't have learned by just reading a book or listening to me saying something. Like, if truly, you guys, if we learned easily by just listening to what other people say, we would be much better human beings. Like, we wouldn't fuck up so much in the word. Why do finance teachers become finance teachers? They don't become bankers, or like super like finance analyst managers, because they understand that it's much easier it's much easier to memorize shit and project that shit out than actually go on in life and apply knowledge, intelligence, and wisdom together. You hear me? Oh boy. Yeah. And the moment you're able to slow down time, the time inside you, right? That time, wavelength, your own like heart frequency, or your brain waves, you start to see way more, because you realize what you're made of. You get deeper and deeper, and you reach a point where there's just so much magic where it feels like you don't even need to do anything outside. And that the outside and the inside is the same, but because you're so addicted to thinking and your awareness as used to react and leave from that place, that you can, it feels like you can never let that place go, that you always have to find your way back there, or at least to visit there, or to see your old friends and hang out with them for a little bit, and ask if they want a cup of tea, and then you're like, oops, look what I've landed, I gotta get out of here again. And that's that work, right? It's almost as if you've lived depressed for so many years, and then you found a way out to the other side, and you realize where everything here is blissful, it's peace, it's here now, and I can create from here, and there's no limits here. And while over there, there's so many limitations and blockages and just like prisons and shit. Um, so it's almost as if you've, after living at that place for so many years, when you found the other place, you have that withdrawal of like, oh, the other place was better, the body got used to that. And that's because the body gets addicted to things all the time, right? Why do you think addictions come from? Why are we addicted to smoking? Why are we addicted to gossiping, or to drinking, or gambling, or making money, or uh, dating, falling in love? Because all things gets addicted to your brain. So like, how do we get out of this? When I understand creativity has no limits, why should I keep doing the same things I was used to do them before? What does it take to free yourself from this cage of programs, of automaticians, and like, if you've tried like different people, different source of help, and nothing really worked, then what? If you believe and you have faith that creativity has no limits, that you are that you represent the infinite, that you have the access to the infinite within, but yet you are in a body, or the body is in you, and we don't know which one is true. But if you know that, like, if you believe that deeper down, and you still see yourself fighting with yourself, what's the way out? Maybe the way out is letting go of wanting a way out. Maybe if we surrender completely to that flow and not give a shit to anything, we'll find the answers, or we'll be happy from that place. But I mean, I've tried that too, and it turned out to be completely a mess, because the god of control would come after me and say, "You're doing something wrong. You think everything is love, but look at this right here. It's not quite love. You gotta work on something here, little girl." It's like those two voices, right? You have the freedom, you have the voice of the woman, who is free, and the man who wants to control and put things in order. But maybe the man who wants to put things in order has its voice and its right too, because the world is perfectly balanced, right? I mean, or at least it seems like, you know what I mean? Like, there are so many businesses like working, doing fine, and there are many creative like people doing also a good job. What I mean is, like, if you look at the entertainment side of things in business, right? Like the movies, the shows, the events, and then you look at the stores, the banks, the schools, and the different tech companies. It really seems like there's room for everyone. And honestly, like, I'm actually I'm at the 12th floor now, and I'm looking at these incredible views of different buildings. And the image I see as I look at this is like, they're different, like they're floors above on these buildings. They're like different floors, and everybody's like operating from different places, like in a field of infinite possibilities, right? So it really is like we are expanding together. Every day is an opportunity to expand. Every day you may feel like you're down, on the first, second, third floor. And there will be times where you feel like you're in those real high floors above, where you're like, damn, I didn't have any drugs, no substance of any kind, and I feel like high without anything. And definitely knowing that, tapping to that makes life worth living. Remember when I started like this talk, reminding you that there are thousands of souls who would do anything to be here in your place right now, but they can't because it's not their time, and you don't remember how long you had to wait to be here. So my message to you is, get up, take the chance, do what it feels right for you, and don't wait any longer. Thank you.